Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. We've got a fun one today. Ravensburger just released their 2025 financials. They talked about what products grew, what products declined, hint Lorcana in 2025 in terms of sales. So we're going to kind of read through what they had to say. I'll give my opinion on it, and then we'll hop over to Reddit, kind of see what the community is saying about it. So with that being said, let's get into the official release. All right, so we're going to get into the press release here. We're going to talk about two core parts. We're going to talk about just their overall headline, what they led the press release with, and then we'll get into specifically what they said about Lorcana. So they titled the press release, Growth in Core Business Drop in Trading Cards. After 2 years of exceptionally strong growth, the Ravensburger Group sales declined by 5.9%, currency adjusted to, we're just going to call it a flat 5, but it's negative 4.8, to 744 million euros in the 2025 financial year. The group's core business of games, puzzles, and books grew by a total of 3%. That's very relevant. Only the company's trading card game business normalized after an extremely successful start, settling at a high level. Basically, what they're saying here is that they dropped 5% in sales, and that's with seeing a 3% growth in their core product segment. And so the majority of that loss is all coming from Disney Lorcana TCG, which I think is very, very relevant. In view of shifting market conditions and consumer habits, the company will increase its focus on connecting closely with consumers through events and experiences. I think that's awesome. And more individualized offerings. Ravensburger is also strengthening its children book segment with the acquisition of a majority stake in Nordsug Verlag. 2026 is all about the Labyrinth. The classic game is celebrating its 40th birthday. Okay, so this gives us quite a bit of insight. First of all, their core business model is still doing good. It grew at 3%. They're at 750 million euros in terms of total sales. So they're doing good as a company. Their core business model is doing well, but kind of their golden goose, Lorcana, definitely decreased in 2025, which anyone with a pulse could have told you that. Everything from the secondary market to booster box sales, printing levels, everything declined sharply. Sharp's relative. Let's just say declined in general in 2025. Hopping over to specifically what they said about the TCG trading card games, from hype to established business segment. Following an extremely successful launch phase, the trading card game Disney Lorcana TCG saw a drop in sales. After the initial hype, demand is normalized at a high level. Those joining the brand with a primary interest in investment have since withdrawn. That's a huge point. While the game continues to enjoy growing popularity among its core target group of players and collectors. This has been what I've been preaching on this channel forever. They led with the sentiment in 2023 when they started to do press releases about the game, when media outlets would interview the highest levels of Ravensburger. They talked about they want to get the cards in the hands of the players. When an IP like this launches its game, you have to have so much product to meet demand that if not, you can really burn your long-term success, right? And so from the start, they've been talking about we want the cards to be in the hands of players and collectors. Players first, predominantly, right? And that was by design. We've talked about that a lot here, and I agree 100% with the sentiment. Guys, there have been so many people, and my channel is as big as it's ever been. I'm closing in on 3,000 subscribers, which, still amazes me that all you guys want to watch me rant about this trading card game. I'm incredibly grateful, but I'm not a never mind. Disregard. Don't want to go down a rabbit hole here. But a lot of people that used to watch the channel when it started, when there was a little bit more hype, they're gone, right? And I bought a lot of their collection, and I can't tell you the amount of times that people have sold me their collection at 60% of market, 70% of market, because they just wanted whatever chunk of cash they can without doing any work to then go take it to Pokemon. And that happens time and time again. Obviously, you guys know me. I love Lorcana. I don't love Pokemon anymore. Let's not say. I love Pokemon. The current sets and all the, hype doesn't speak to me. I will be playing in this pool, but nevertheless, there's been a lot of that, right? So I just say, anecdotally, I would agree 100% with their sentiment here that the majority of just pure speculators have gone at this point. Moving on, the card set released in the second half of this year were sellouts. They specifically say the second half, which is interesting. So this does not include Arcasia's Island. This does not include drawing a blank, Reign of Jafar, but Fabled and Whispers in the Well, essentially. And the number of players continues to grow. Am I reading that right? The card sets released in the second half of the year were sellouts. Yes, so they're talking about Fabled and Whispers in the Well. The many organized play events offered in specialized hobby and game stores also contribute to this growth. From its debut in 2023, Disney Lorcana has developed into a sustainable business segment and therefore a long-term pillar of the Ravensburger product portfolio. The company continues to expand the realm with new products such as puzzles and books. Beginning with Set 12, which will launch in May 2026, fans can also look forward to the first Pixar characters, including those from the animated film Toy Story. Okay, so a couple things to kind of take away here. Or actually, well, that's all we're going to talk about in terms of the official press release, and now I'll give my thoughts to kind of break it up for you guys. Okay, so when I look at this as, at a high level, I agree with pretty much all of what they're saying. There's not really a lot of surprises in here for me. I would have told you that 2025 was absolutely a down year in terms of sales for Lorcana. It was a down year for me as a consumer participating in Lorcana. Now, look, I buy a lot of cards, right? But in terms of I bought a lot of cards from the secondary market this year. I did not buy a lot of cards from like Ravensburger, right? Or from an LGS that is obviously buying from Ravensburger. That's their whole business model. Is like they need me to buy from the LGS, who buys from the distributor, who buys from them, right? Like that's their entire business model. Is me buying packs from them to open. That is like how they make money. That's like their end all be all. I did less of that in 2025 than I did in 2024 and 2023. That doesn't really count because it was only a couple months. But me as a consumer, year over year, their revenue that they got from me declined significantly. And so that just checks out from an anecdotal perspective. It's nice to see that they're kind of hinting at that the investors are gone and now it's time to kind of get things in order. I have backed up their decision to be player focused. I think it was the right way to progress. I think that they have done a great job of garnering organic support and a cult-like following, a dedicated fan base. Their organized play events still sell out in minutes, right? Like they have created a very successful game. Now that came with pain in 2025, right? That's probably millions and millions and millions of dollars that they lost year over year. No company likes to do that. Now, the good thing for them is they're privately owned. They saw this coming. They have what they identified as a solid business segment now grounded moving forward, right? So there's like the investors in the public market can't come in and take this away from them. They're a privately owned company. They do license it from Disney, so that's where the risk comes in for them specifically. But by and large, it looks like it's set up for success long term. That's how I see that they're reading it, and I would agree with that. Now, that means, things still have to change. I think they are wrong in their approach to organized play at the local card level, or local game store level, and I think they're wrong in their approach to the booster pack and that opening experience, but I think that they're getting better, at least on the latter there, on the booster pack opening experience. I think that's the best way for them to increase sales as we get into 2026 and get into 2027. There's a couple things that I think can just kind of change the trajectory of this significantly. So that's where my thoughts are. I agree by and large with what they're saying here, and it would be kind of what I expected. Now I would love to see the actual numbers. What's their revenue on Disney Lorcana versus their overall parent company? Because they say that the core business model grew 3%, but then and really they hint out Lorcana was their big loser. But the company dropped 5% overall with the gain of 3% in core. So that gives me, like there's a lot of revenue coming into Ravensburger through Disney Lorcana, and you never look in. There's just no other way to put it. 2025 was the biggest year for trading card games ever, right? Like just like across the board, so many new games coming out, so many established games doing well. It was just a complete resurgency of the hobby. Having a down year amongst that with the biggest IP in the world, there's no way to call that a win, right? Like if we're just being brass tacks, right? Like whether you hate investors or hate collectors or, whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever your personal bias removed, their job is to sell booster packs. They did less of that in the biggest year of trading card game history ever, right? With the biggest IP ever. So that's not good. Now, I think we're fine. We've got a good footing, etc. But like that 2025 was absolutely a miss, right? And I think they're learning from that. I think we've got a lot to build on there. But I think that's just kind of my overall thoughts on the press release. Now, I do want to dive into Reddit, and I'll continue to discuss my thoughts there. But there's, just I want to give everyone a heads up that we're jumping into Reddit. So if you're done with the video, here's your place to end. All right, so this was posted on the Lorcana Reddit, and the discussions have ensued. I'm sure. Let's do a little little refresh here to get some, just get the freshest. All right. So the top comment is let's go, set 50 incoming. Narsgol said before the game launched, they said they had a 10-year plan in place. They did say that many times. So we should definitely be seeing that. So 50 probably can happen as well as Lisk as well if List keeps up. Can't read. Narsgol also says after the initial hype, demand normalized at a high level, Disney Lorcana has developed into a sustainable business segment and therefore a long-term pillar of the Ravensburger product portfolio. And then took the words right out of my mouth, but everyone online claims the game is dead. And that's exactly right, whether you're getting on the Lorcana Reddit or just a general TCG Reddit, because the prospect of investing in this sealed isn't there right now. And to me, I think it is, just to be completely fair. But because the general public doesn't see that, it's just Lorcana's dead everywhere you look. And that, for like those of us who are here, not even from a financial perspective, just enjoying the game from a player's perspective, enjoying the game from a collector's perspective, like the Epcot promos right now, so cheap. All promos in general, so cheap. Like me as a consumer, knowing what I know about the greater TCG ecosystem, like I feel like I'm just spoiled. Like the amount of inventory that I'm able to accumulate in a time like this, like in my opinion, shouldn't be happening. Now, look, I could be wrong, and Lorcana doesn't succeed, never becomes a collectible, whatever, right? I don't think that's the case. But like, if you're here, like, you really should be grateful for these times. A lot of Lorcana's dead, blah blah blah. It's dead to investors. I would say that's well, yes, I would agree with that. And by and large, this is unfortunate. It's dead where I live, and that's what matters to me. The core format ruined my local gaming community. I've heard that, guys. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire. So many people have told me this. Like, there's without a doubt they lost players in 2025. Like, that's just point blank. Period. Opening new product is a horrible experience. Bad starter decks to the point of being a scam. And since the implementation of dial-in cards, opening a booster pack means more diluted, useless variety. Does that mean rotation? That must mean rotation. I actually like how cheap it is to get enchanted. That's like if you're a collector and you're getting it now, you're in a great spot to be. Let's see here. This person had something interesting. Anytime it's getting downvoted, like, it's about money and like this. I'll never understand the hatred between like you can love the game and love your collection and like want it to appreciate and value. That's like the whole nature of this entire industry. Like no one like wants to buy a card that goes to zero. And like these people like virtue signal that like I could care less if my cards all went to zero. It's like, all right, well, you probably don't like have anything. You don't have any skin in the game then. Like, sure, if I had a $10 The Wall enchanted, like they could go to zero. I don't care, right? And like, look, at the end of the day, I'm not financially leveraged. I have like, if it went to zero, I would not be happy. I would not enjoy that, but I would be completely fine financially. But these people who like, they think that these cards should have no value or just like disconnected from reality. Nevertheless, this person says, because a collection that has no value is just a checklist with no prestige. Don't get me wrong. I like the enchanteds are cheap, but I also think the introduction of epics and iconics is a good thing. And I love more than 2 iconics per set. Agree completely. Except it's a game I want to play, not an investment. I don't play to resell my cards. I want to use them. So the cheaper I can collect them, the happier I am. The playable cards are free. So good news. The playable cards are absolutely free. Invest $160 on your Dumbo and every other card is dirt cheap. Yeah, if I pay a ton to start and then the value drops, I would be sad. This is exactly what we're trying to prevent. But if they can keep prices consistently down, that is an affordable hobby to stay and start in that is ideal for a TCG in my opinion. I agree with that. I don't want a hobby that consists of thousands a year to play meta decks. I want something I can get my friends in and to play with my kid. Yeah, that's fine. And I think that that's doable right now. Once again, you look at Fabled, the best-selling set right now. Every single card that's not geared towards collectors, let's be clear, epics, enchanteds, and iconics are geared towards collectors. Those, while they are game pieces, are definitely geared towards a higher, like they're geared towards collectors and not geared towards players. If you want to play with the shiny card, put the cold foil variant in there, right? Or the full foil, whatever. But right now, the majority of cards in Disney Lorcana are like free. So like we do, this idea of like the cards aren't affordable. They are, right? And in my opinion, like I think the Dumbo having a decent price, like that's healthy too. Like, sure, should it be a little bit cheaper? Could they do some events to release a promo variant of it and things like that? Like, yes. But like, I think having some skin in the game isn't the worst thing in my opinion. Sure, you don't want it. Like, I remember back in the if you were around in set 4 with the Robin Hood Bucky discard deck, that deck was an $850 starting point. It had so many cards that were $50. A Sad Beast, the Robin Hoods, there was a bunch of cards that were $50 a pop. You don't need an $850 meta deck. Like, that's even a little bit rich for my blood as someone who had like play sets of all the cards. But at the end of the day, like, like if $150, $200 for a deck, like, to me, that feels very reasonable. Maybe I'm out of touch with that. But yeah, I think that that's all fair. You do realize that the existence of alternate arts is so you can play the game cheaply while also having rare and valuable chase cards to make the pack open it. That this person nailed it. You can play the best meta deck every set and not need a single enchanted. Yes, like this is like, well, I don't get why do people doubt about this. Like, nothing that they're saying is wrong. It's just like, the singles are cheap. That's great. Play the game with them. The other cards are made for collectors, right? They should have value. Like, this idea that like enchanted should be worthless is so silly to me. That she seems off base. I don't know. I haven't even read that, so I don't know. Sapphire Jasmine, hope you're doing great. Nice. Glad to see that investors aren't considered part of the target market. I agree. Game belongs to the players and the Disney fans, not the fuel for the secondary market. Yeah, I agree that investors should not be the priority. They should not be the priority for any trading card game company, especially a new one. I hope Pokemon builds their printing facility and just Deaths and Rivals booster boxes are coming out of the wild. I doubt that happens, but like that in reality, in a healthy market, like that's what should happen. The demand has just so drastically outweighed what they can produce. There's just that supply and demand equilibrium just is non-existent. But I hope that they're able to dial that back in a little bit. Sounds about right. It's a player's game, not a collector's game. That's false. It's not an investor's game. That's great. So a collector's game, yes, absolutely. All right, let's see what the big downvote is here, and then we'll get out of here. All right, why not? Lord Tetravus. This press release is astonishing and should be terrifying to anyone who's familiar with the cardboard world and how companies talk. The entire statement has a tinge of panic that you don't often see. If you're willing to admit and use this kind of language in a press release, then we know for certain that some sets after launch, I'd bet money, probably Inklings 3, maybe set 6 or set 7 were absolute disasters, and the company lost a bunch of money. I think set 3 and set 4 were the biggest losers, but yeah, Azure Sea and Arcasia's Island and Rain of Jafar probably were losses for the company as well. The rest of the press release is pure damage control and attempting to convince the public that the game is now in a better place. They're a private company. They don't need to convince anyone. And attempting to build good will by positioning themselves as an affordable alternative to other games that have high investment and speculation at the moment. Perhaps it really now is better off, but this should be an eye-opener that reflects probably just how close to the abyss the game got in 2024 and early 2025. Notice that they don't actually provide any sales numbers, they're a private company, or even rankings of which set sold best, as in commonly mentioned by other games. That tells us that they're still not in a position where they feel like they can confidently crow about their specific success, other than just making blanket claims that products sold out. This should add to the already growing neon warning signs around the secondary market for the game. If you're downvoting this and don't have any actual rebuttal, you're living in a fantasy. This is not a deep analysis on my part. This should be completely obvious stuff to anyone who has familiarity with corporate speak. I mean, it's going to get downvoted because it's talking about financials. I mean, look, guys, at the end of the day, and I'll give my final piece here. We'll talk about one more Reddit post, and then we'll be done for the day. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, right? I know a lot of people, this is a very polarizing topic, right? This idea of, is Lorcana going to make it? Like, if I wanted to be like Scumbag Mike, Cardboard Kingdom Shill Express, I would be making YouTube videos every day about the death of Lorcana. The biggest videos on my channel are always around that stuff. I personally am a glass half full kind of guy. I don't want to get in the drama and the doom and gloom, whatever. Every day it's not good for my mental. It's not good for your mental. I think that type of content, while it does the best, is very bad just for like the zeitgeist of everyone. So, I'm not going to be doing that, but like I could do that every day and it would be like, I did that video just because it was a good post of the person comparing Lorcana to Yu-Gi-Oh like a month ago, and that video has almost like 6,000 views. Like that, like I that's a lot for me. I understand it's not a lot in the general, like the YouTube world, but like 6,000 views for me is a lot. And I could make those videos every day on these Reddit posts, but I don't. And there's a reason for that. But I think that at the end of the day, all this, everyone's sentiment pushed aside, Ravensburger's job and their job with Disney Lorcana TCG is to sell booster packs, and specifically for those booster packs to be opened. Sealed, investing for any trading card game publisher is not the ideal scenario for them. They want those packs to be sold and those packs to be opened for those cards to be on the market. That was why they were printed. That's why this whole ecosystem exists, right? And so that's what Ravensburger should be focusing on. It's obvious that they're trying to do better with that, starting in Fabled and Whispers in the Well, now continuing into Winterspell. My consultant and advice to them would be that it's not enough. They need to continue to progress that realm of increasing the booster pack opening experience, because that's going to do exactly what they need as an organization for this game to succeed. They're going to sell more booster packs, and more of those booster packs are going to be opened. Sure, is that going to open the gates for like more investors or sealed people to come into the hobby? It will. But that's going to come at a cost of more people buying the product and more people wanting to open the product. And that's healthy, right? That's how their sales go from down however many X% at Disney Lorcana to being up. The secondary market just is a feature of this system. And that doesn't mean that you have to prioritize to it and you undercut print runs to inflate the secondary market. Like, they've got a really, really good following of people who genuinely love the game. That has to continue to build. And we're going to look at a Reddit post of a good example of when it won't. And they need to avoid situations like this. This booster pack opening experience, if I could change one thing in 2026, starting with Wilds Unknown, because we know that it's not happening in Winterspell, we need more alt arts. That's going to sell more packs. That's going to open more packs. That's going to lead to more sealed. But that's going to lead to more people enjoying the game. When we look at a post like this on Reddit, this like brings pain to my heart. This person clearly went to Epcot. They clearly wanted the Stitch promo. They clearly wanted to engage with Lorcana. They're new enough to know that they couldn't get an epic or an iconic out of Arcasia's Island. So they're relatively new. They saw it at the Festival of Arts. They saw, hey, I can get this cool promo. I'm getting trove after trove after trove. If you don't know, at the Epcot Festival of the Arts, if you in order to get the Stitch promo, you have to buy an Arcasia's Island trove. So you pay, $50 or whatever it is, and you get a card. That's how it works. This person bought 17 of them, right? And they didn't even know that you couldn't get epics or iconics. 17 troves deep and still nothing in terms of alt arts. Now look, they've gotten better with this in Fabled, Whispers in the Well, Winterspell, adding epics and iconics. That is a step in the right direction. They need to do more. This person, Spiritual Salad 9596, bless your soul, we've all been there. 17 troves and not a single alt art. That is not good business. This person wants to participate. Sure, maybe he's not going to, they or them, whoever, maybe they're not going to go to the LGS in the beginning and they just want to collect. But maybe they do take that leap eventually and get in to play the game. That's how I started. I was literally a collector because I loved the art and collecting it with my daughter. I then began to play the game on like a weekly, daily basis, right? Like that's just a natural progression. But people like this shouldn't just be, completely burnt out because they opened 17 products and didn't get a single alt art. Like that is a miss, right? And so I think the more that they realize this and continue to adapt, once again, give them their flowers. Fabled, best-selling set. That's in spite of it being 90% reprints. That is only because they catered more to the collectors, right? And that's made Fabled their best-selling set. Whether you're a player, you're a collector, you're an investor, Ravensburger's job is to sell booster packs. They're doing that with Fabled, and they're going to continue to do that the more alt arts they bring into the game. Now, there is a happy medium. I don't want this to be Pokemon. I don't want to open a pack, and every pack has a hit, but then, like, if every pack has a hit, do any packs have a hit? Like, when you open Pokemon, like, you just, like so many of the hits are just like, meh, like I don't want that. And that's how epics feel right now, right? Like I want a tier between epic and enchanted that really give that collector experience at a cheaper value than enchanted's, but a higher hit rate, but it's full art. It looks amazing, right? Like Just give me the art rare or illustration rare variant from Pokemon. Give it to me in Lorcana, and we're off to the races. This person who opened 17 boxes and got no alt arts is not good for Ravensburger. This person wants to be a collector. Maybe that will then turn into a player. They just want to participate in the ecosystem and get some semblance of value out of it. They open 17 boxes, they don't play the game, and they got nothing. That is not good, right? And whether you're a player and you hate that or you love it or whatever, at the end of the day, take your bias away from it. Ravensburger's job is to increase sales in the biggest trading card game year in history, not decrease. I think they will increase sales. I think Lorcana has a very, very healthy future. I'm in love with the game. I think it's the most organic trading card game experience that we've had since the 90s with Pokemon. There's magic in this game. Like I truly believe the Disney magic is alive and well. But at the end of the day, Ravensburger's job is to sell booster packs. You Mr. or Miss player who wants everything to be 2 cents, the game will no longer exist. Okay. So if you want, you know what's cool about like getting your friends to play, soccer, for example, other people play it and other people want to play it. No one's going to want to play Lorcana if it costs nothing, right? Like that's just like, there's no, the people who just want everything to be like free, they don't get it. But nevertheless, I mean, there's, I typically don't even indulge this much into that type of talk, but whatever. Here I am. We're probably 20 plus minutes into this video. So that's where I'm at with everything. I'm not surprised to see, once again, to kind of bring it back together and put a bow on this thing. I'm not surprised to see that sales drop significantly in 2025. They need to reverse that trend. I think they're in the right direction. And here is to 2026 being the best year of Lorcana yet. Hopefully starting with Wilds Unknown. Can we get a Buzz and Woody iconic? Please. Please, 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 please. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Talk to you guys later. Goodbye.